If you want to book more calls from cold email, you need to focus on writing better scripts. Because I booked thousands of calls for my clients over the past couple of years, and I found that you can nail every single part of the lead gen process. But if the scripts you're sending aren't written the right way, then everything else goes to waste. That's why in this video, I'm going to show you how to write cold email scripts that are impossible to ignore. And the best part is that it doesn't really matter what industry that you're in, because not only will I show you some real examples, but I'll also show you how to use AI to tailor everything to your specific industry. Now, before you start to write anything, you need to understand what a winning cold email script is supposed to do. See, the entire point is just to start a conversation that ends up leading to a call. And the best scripts obviously do this by getting open, getting read, and getting responded to. So those would be the three main goals in that exact order. Because if your emails can do those three things, obviously booking meetings becomes much easier. Now, let me show you what a winning script that nails all of those looks like. So just jumping into a few client accounts here, I wanted to show you an example that I thought was really good. So the first one here basically starts with capital stack question, the subject line short, all lowercase, curiosity inducing, makes you want to see what the message is about. Once you dive in, it's very short to the point, calls out their specific industry, a multifamily developer, builds a little bit of pain, but doesn't focus on it too much, mentions what the solution is. And the best part I think is right here. So 12 million funded, under 45 days, only took one discussion. This is the offer, this is what you can get. You can get $12 million in funding. It'll only take 45 days. And all you have to do is have one call worth 15 minutes to see if we can pull this off for you. So again, it's almost like the same concept as a one-liner where it's very offer focused. This one specifically pulls in a little bit of pain building, but not too much that, the reader gets boring, jumps into what matters, and then jumps into the CTA. Now that one was more offer focused. I want to show you one that was a little bit more front end offer focused. So this one here, again, Instagram question. It's short, to the point, doesn't really give off what exactly the thing's going to be about. It's Instagram, but you don't know what about Instagram. And again, curiosity inducing. My partner stumbled upon your Instagram, so it kind of makes it look like we were checking them out. Notice 3 changes that we can make to your organic posts to increase engagement, and then boom, right into the front end offer. If I recreate one of your posts with these changes for free, would this be a good place to send it? So essentially, we're just offering to recreate one of their Instagram posts with what we know about the industry, and that's it. No social proof. It's very clear what you're going to get from responding to the email. So now that you know what a winning script looks like, let's build one from scratch. And the first thing we need to do is nail down your offer. Now, I'm not talking about your main service, because no one really cares about your main service until they actually know what's in it for them. So your offer obviously just needs to answer one simple question. If I answer this email, what am I going to get out of it? But most people still get this wrong. They'll either make it too vague, too salesy, or they don't even really understand what an offer is in the first place. So let me show you some examples of what not to do with your offer, and then I'll show you what you should do instead. So I thought it'd be interesting to go into my junk mail, and take a look at some of the cold emails that I received and the offers that they provided. So in this case here, I found your details on your website. As an SEO specialist, I help drive more traffic to your site with expert services. You see here, they think that the offer is their main service. So they're just pitching their main service. And then the actual thing that they're providing, what you'd get if you responded to this email, was a proposal and a pricing structure. So basically saying I do this thing, here's what it costs, buy my stuff. Not the greatest example here. This one was not one I had in my inbox, but basically just your typical hey, I'm so-and-so, I'd love to schedule a call and tell you about my services, who we are, what we do, how we operate, go over packages, timelines, full range of deliverables. The offer is to tell you what they do, which again, we don't really care about. This one here, they started with some criticism on my channel, said that I can help you monetize your channel, increase your watch time, and reach your targeted audience. If you're interested, please don't hesitate to contact me. So again, just saying this is what we do, we can help you, great. And then the last one here, this one was really interesting. Bonus offer, buy 20, get 3 free. I help businesses grow online visibility by combining ethical review support, SEO. Again, they're just talking me. Nothing tangible. You don't really know what's going to happen when you reply. Now, on the flip side, some really good offers. One I found here, saw you're hiring for sales related roles. Can I send you 100 verified contacts which match your ICP with email so that the salesperson has something to work on from day one? This is really good because they accomplish relevance by actually pulling information about the fact that we are hiring for a role and then providing value based on that piece of relevance. This one here, They specifically call out that we're a lead gen agency, which I think was awesome. And then they offer to do a free conversion focused website. And then they also suggest that, the only cost on our side will be the monthly expenses, maintenance, etc. Do you want us to reserve one limited spot? The one reason why I like this offer is because we're in a environment right now that's very low trust. And even when people offer things for free, people get skeptical. They're like, why are you offering this for free? They actually expanded into that exactly here, where they're saying, we're offering this free website because we want to expand our portfolio and feature a few standout brands. So there's a reason behind them doing the free value. And then another one here, this one was really good as well. Formatting of the email was a little bit off, and maybe don't use growth flare Inc. as a variable. It's kind of silly, but regardless, they say AI agent spotted over 55 prospects which are showing buying intent for, they could have said your company or you or your service or something like that. But again, besides the point, are you interested in me sending you a short resource outlining how you can identify these kinds of prospects yourself? So again, the offer is just them providing you the walkthrough on how you'd accomplish the desired result, which is really good. And then another one here. So if I took a net loss to bring you 2 full fee retainer clients within the next month, simply in exchange for a review, would you be interested? Again, if I took a net loss, so they're implying that they're incurring expenses on your behalf, providing you 2 full fee retainer clients, which is great. It's going to occur in the next month. That's the time frame. And then they also add this section here, just in exchange for a review. So you know why they're doing it. I'd say all of these are solid, and the commonalities are basically that they're short, to the point, very offer focused. You know exactly what you're getting out of it. There's no resistance at all. They all kind of inspire the, why not? Like, why wouldn't I reply? I may as well just see what they are sending just by saying yes. And it's as simple as that. You're not asking for anything crazy. You don't need some detailed reply. I could just say yes to every single one of these emails and get the thing that they're providing. Now, if you want to create your offer from scratch, I would go about it fairly simply. This doesn't have to be complicated. So you could say something along the lines of like, I am an Amazon growth agency. I want to create an offer for Amazon brands. One of the first things I'd maybe build the offer around is like, what's one thing that Amazon brands are really struggling with given the current climate? So like climate could be economic climate or whatever. All right, so this is the prompt that I came up with. Again, we don't have to complicate this, but let's see what it comes up with. I might also ask it to pair this with a front end offer that naturally results in a conversation we can use to transition into the sales process of the main offer. So we could do something like that. So main offer, 90-day profit ranking turnaround sprint. I love 90-day sprints right now. Like, they are performing really, really well. It's a specific time frame, a specific result. They know exactly when, what you're promising has been accomplished. And then, they even added a guarantee performance base here. If we don't increase your tacos efficient revenue by at least 20% in 90 days, you don't pay the performance fee. That's interesting, but you could just say like you do it on a performance basis. That always ends up working. I would probably get it here to like summarize this into one line. We help Amazon brands increase, tacos efficient revenue by at least 20% in 90 days. Cool. And then include the front end offer in one line. All right, so here's the clean front end offer. We'll do a free tacos ranking recovery audit that identifies profit leaks, missed ranking opportunities, gives you a 10-day plan to fix them. Core offer, we increase your tacos efficient revenue by at least 20% in 90 days by boosting rankings, cutting wasted ad spend, and improving conversions, backed by a performance-based guarantee. Perfect. Now, nailing your offer obviously isn't always going to be as easy as it seems, because the reality is, to get data on whether or not it resonates with the audience that you're trying to target, you need to send thousands of cold emails, if not tens of thousands of cold emails. And most people just don't have the knowledge as to how to set that up. So if you want help crafting an offer that actually gets people to book calls with you, you can book a call with me below. We've helped clients book over 1,800 sales calls in the last year alone, and we'll see if we can do the same for you. So if that's something that you're interested in, again, just book a call below. But either way, once you nail down your offer, we need to focus on the first part of the actual script. And that's going to be getting people to open the email with a subject line that actually stands out. Because you could have the best email copy in the world, but obviously if they don't open it, then nobody's going to see it. Yet for some reason, people still use these templates that make it super obvious that it's a cold email, which is exactly why they get ignored. But the best subject lines, in my opinion, don't really look like cold emails at all. They're short, curiosity inducing, and look like they could have come from somebody internally. And that's exactly what makes people open them. So if we want to go back to some of our examples from the emails that I pulled, you can see here like YouTube appraisal proposal. The problem with this one is that they're telling you exactly what the offer is in the subject line. So there's no reason to open the email. If you're not looking for a YouTube proposal, you're not even going to open it. You're just going to delete that. You know, they could have said YouTube idea or something like that. Like maybe if you're running YouTube, they have an idea for you. Or if you're not running YouTube, they have some sort of strategy to help you kickstart that. You don't really know what it's about. You know, there's a little bit of curiosity there and you want to dive in and at least see what it is. Here, this is super marketing jargon focused, like boost your online visibility the authentic way. I don't know if I really need to elaborate on that one. This one, can it be achieved? So again, this one is curiosity inducing, but it's not clear enough. Like it doesn't, like what can be achieved. Like there's nothing that implies what it could potentially be about or like gets somebody curious. It's just vague, which is obviously not what we're going for. I would say even some of the good emails on the other side didn't have the greatest subject lines. This one I thought was all right. We found 55 of them, Aaron. The only reason I kind of like this one is that, you know, they tell you that we found 55 of something, but you don't really know what it is. So you're going to want to look into that. It's a little conversational, not really marketing jargon focused. So I don't mind that one. But if we want to go back to like some of the examples that I showed you from our copy, Instagram question, you know, it gives them an idea of what it's about, but not exactly. And then same deal with this one, capital stack question, gives them a rough idea of what it's about, but you know, you want to ask them something, they kind of want to know what you're asking, whether or not they want it or not, or actually, you know, are interested, they're at least going to look. Now, when it comes to spinning up subject lines with AI, we pretty much use a prompt that asks them to, you know, first analyze each email, identify main value prop, target audience, core benefit, you know, specific outcomes, and then ensure that it's going to be curiosity inducing, 2 to 3 words maximum, all lowercase, super relevant, sounds like an internal communication, you know, industry relevant, avoids obvious sales language, and then we listed a few different examples. And then pretty much all you have to do is take your offer, drop it in. You can see here, like we dropped some specific email copy, and then they gave us a couple options here, you know, first name, Amazon data, real-time question. These ones are all right. You probably have to do some prompting, but it's pretty simple. And then, you know, every single subject line you come up with for each campaign is going to be unique. Now, at this point, you obviously have a subject line that's going to get them to open or read the email, but that's only really half the battle, because if your email doesn't immediately tell them what's in it for them, they're going to just jump on to the next one. Yet that's what people end up doing. They either talk too much, you know, explaining too much why someone should be jumping on the call, or they just jump in asking for a call way too early. But the best email copy obviously does the opposite. It's short, leads with value, and actually gives them a reason to respond. Now, again, going back into the examples of some of the bad copy, it's going to be everything like, I hope this email finds you well, or like, I know you're busy, but blah, 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 blah. Like, that's the first thing that's going to kill your email. Or in situations like this, you know, jumping into who you are, who you work for, you know, what you do, things like that. That's just like a complete no-go. Again, fake relevance. This is who I am. Should you be interested, I can send over a proposal. Like, this is just jumping into the quote unquote like relationship way too soon. You know, that's like a clingy boyfriend that is just trying to jump in to second or third base way too fast. Like, why would I want a proposal or pricing structure? I have no idea what you're going to do for me. I have no idea what the quality of work is, you know, who you are, what you've accomplished, what's in it for me, anything like that. So that's big red flag. And then again, going to this one, you know, ripping apart somebody's YouTube channel is not going to make them want to work with you. Like, your channel subscriber is only 340 and you've already published 20 videos. The other thing too, like, you can tell he was trying to make this personalized, and he was using a personalization to pull my YouTube name, which has my company name in it, super non-conversational. But then for some reason, he decided it would be smart to bold it, which makes it obvious that it's, variable. So they bolded all of the personalizations, pulled those through, and then again saying, unfortunately, your channel is not performing well. Like, who's to say that? I think my channel is performing great, right? So they're kind of making assumptions based on data that they're seeing, and then just pitching their service. There's nothing in it for the reader at all. And then this one here is all over the place, emojis, really disjointed. They try and paint some sort of picture or tell a story before getting into what they do. And nobody has the time or attention for any of that. And then again, jumping into the good emails, straight to the point. Like in this case, they did a really good job not even using the greeting. Like you're just using first name. That could be a text, like it's just this simple casual, saw you're hiring for sales related roles, straight to the offer, just getting exactly into it right off the bat. Can I send you this? You know exactly what you're getting out of it. And then if I were them though, I probably would have just left like the signature a little bit more plain, just their name, maybe the company. This thing here, this is a little salesy. I would have avoided that. Thanks for the time. Again, a little salesy. You could have just said, Aaron, saw you're hiring for sales related roles. Can I send you 100 verified contacts that match your ICP? Thanks, Jenny. And then jumping into some of the other ones, obviously really good. They emphasize the value here. Our AI agent spotted 55 intent-based prospects. And do you want me to send you how to do it? All of these, again, are just short. This one here even uses a bit of like a pattern interrupt. Thought you'd find this humorous. The other thing that's worth noting too is like the preview text is actually almost just as important as the subject line. So the subject line sure builds curiosity, but they're also going to read the subject line and read the preview. And that's that first section that they'll see in their inbox. So like if I saw this one here, thought you'd find this humorous, and that's the preview text, I'd be curious as to what he's talking about, right? And then again, jumping into the copy, it's literally just the offer and the CTA all in one line. That's perfect. Again, I'd probably cut out some of this crap. You don't really need these little spin text quotes or opt-outs. That's really not necessary. And then, the location, I wouldn't really go that direction. You don't need to let people know where you're from. If you're reaching out to an American that hates Canadians and they see that you're from Canmore, Alberta, like maybe they don't answer to you, or vice versa. If it's a Canadian that hates Americans and the Americans reaching, like, you don't want to bring your location or politics or anything into it. Just put your name, put your company name. You don't even really need your job title. Just super simple, catch their attention, drop the offer, clear CTA, bang. And then if you want to generate these types of emails for yourself, something super clear, is a lot easier to write good copy than it is to write hard copy, right? You saw some of those good copy examples. They're super short. It's just your offer. If you have your offer nailed, then that's all it is. You just need to be clear about it. But what we've done to make it even easier is pull some of our top performing client campaigns and the copy that we use for them, put that into the project file for Claude, and then also added a bunch of frameworks. So these are going to be the exact structures that we found work really well for a lot of our clients. And then it's as simple as just pulling over the offers. So I actually pulled over the Amazon offer that we were looking at earlier, and then I asked them to create a bunch of examples of copy for the front end offers that were pulled. So first name, interested in a free listing audit. I'd probably get rid of this for company name. I don't really like that at all. Where we review 3 of your top ASINs and show you exactly where you're losing visibility, conversions, and ranking opportunities. Like, that's perfect. I've been leaning away from using the PS line. Like, you can use the PS line for social proof, but I would almost focus on trying to make it a little bit more related to the front end offer. Like, instead of just like this random sales crap where you're like, yeah, we helped so-and-so do X, Y, and Z. I guess like they do tie it in a bit here, but saying like using these exact optimization strategies, I would almost start with that, where it's like, this is exactly what we did for Lamson, and they actually, scaled from 448 to 1 mil, and Sassy Sense achieved 220% year-over-year growth. My point with that one obviously is that like the PS line just needs to be relevant to the offer itself. And then again here, interested in free keyword gap analysis, where we identify 20 high converting keywords for your competitors that your competitors are ranking for that you're missing, easily. Exactly what they're offering, what happens if you reply. It's just straight to the point, gets your attention automatically. So now that you know how to write email, you can't just send it once and hope for the best. Because even if your first email is impossible to ignore, some people just won't see it the first time. You know, everyone's busy, everyone has a flooded inbox, and sometimes they just see it and they forget to respond. So if you want to actually be able to book calls, you need to be able to write follow-ups that people can't ignore. And once again, I'll show you a bad example and then I'll show you one that works. So jumping back into the examples that I received here, this is probably one of the worst that I've seen. Again, like, I continue to say, like, we need to get to the point as fast as possible, but here they're saying, I've sent you a few emails but haven't received a reply. I'd prefer not to give up without a definitive yes or a clear idea of how we might connect. If you could just reply with one of the numbers and I'll take it from there. I really feel that we could substantially enhance your cold email strategies. I'm not trying to be a nuisance if you're not interested or the timing is bad. So first of all, you're reiterating the fact that they already ignored you at least one time, which makes them not want to respond. They're like, okay, like, this guy's following up saying, oh, I've sent a few emails. Clearly I ignored them for a reason. Why would I answer this guy this time? But look at all this fluff before it gets to, like, the point. And truthfully, like, if you do look at this email and you didn't see the first one, I have no idea what they're offering or what they're doing or who they, like, I have zero context. This is like implying that I'm going to take the time to scroll down in the thread and look at the other emails. So for me, like, obviously a good follow-up is going to build off of the first one, but still be something that can exist on its own, right? So if, you know, for example, they just do the one-line offer, what you might want to do in the follow-up, if you're shrinking down your piece of outreach into one line, obviously there's stuff that you weren't able to include. So, you know, jumping into the follow-up by adding in those things and, like, layering that on, or even just adding some sort of, like, risk reversal or some pre-handle of objections is kind of the direction that I always like to go. But it's going to be the same deal as the first email, you know, short, to the point, conversational, but can exist on its own. Clear CTA, same idea, is the way that we want to look at that. So jumping into the good example here, you can see we have this first email from him. This is email 1. You know, if I took a net loss to bring you 2 full fee retainer clients, would you be interested? So that's a great first email. And then the follow-up. So I didn't really like that he said, recognize you're probably slammed, Aaron, but I did like that he used my first name further along in the sentence, which implies that, you know, maybe he could have written it himself. Like, it's super conversational. It looks like, you know, a DM rather than some salesy email. But the thing I did like a lot on this one was he went from pitching the offer in the first one to pitching a video in the second one. So let's take the heavier resistance CTA, the one that creates more friction, and offer it the first time. And then if someone doesn't answer to the high friction thing, offer something low friction. So now you're offering a 2-minute video to show, like, you know, like, what this would consist of. And a lot of people will say yes to that, again, just because they're curious. They just want to see what it's about. So if you do create a really good video, like, you can almost have the video do the selling for you. And then if you want to run a prompt to really come up with something here, like, you know, it's not as difficult as it seems. Like I said, you're just including the details that you didn't include in the first email, because obviously the first email is going to be super short, and then jump into the second one. I just use this prompt here. What would be an effective way to follow up if we just wanted to layer on, like, one additional value point, or maybe overcome an objection, or pre-handle an objection, or just reiterate a key value prop? And then this is obviously referencing some of our you know, structure. So we always do, like, the also first name, thought it was worth mentioning. Like, this part here is super conversational. Goes back to that one example that I showed you guys where the first name is not the first thing in the message, it's the second, so it looks like it could be a text. But again, like, it came up with a pretty decent risk slash overcome objection. So first name, thought it was worth mentioning that the audit's completely free with zero obligation. We only move forward if you see clear opportunities worth fixing. Most sellers we audit find at least 3 to 5 quick wins that they can implement immediately, even if they don't work with us. So that's pretty decent. And then this one here is pretty good as well. Thought it was worth highlighting that the audit requires 0 time from you. All you have to do is send us your ASINs. We're going to handle the rest. And then we found that most Amazon sellers leave 20 to 30% of potential revenue on the table from these simple listing fixes that they didn't know existed. That builds the pain a little bit and gives them a reason to want to jump in. Now, at this point, you know exactly how to write cold email scripts that actually book calls, but you still need to set up your infrastructure, find the right people to send them to, and launch your campaigns. So if you want to see how we did that for a client that booked 42 calls in just 30 days, you can watch this video and I'll see you there.